Hello and welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. I'm Pooja Jain. Today, we are thrilled to spotlight an event that stands at the forefront of Web3 innovation. Presented by BitGet and expertly hosted by Lumos Labs and Builders Tribe, the Build4Web3 Summit emerges as a pivotal gathering for enthusiasts, creators, and pioneers in the Web3 space. As the curtain raiser for the India Blockchain Week, which will kick off on December 4th, the Build4Web3 Summit promises a dynamic experience with a lineup that includes research-driven tech talks, thought-provoking discussions, an exclusive Web3 job fair, and a startup pitch competition, to name a few. We've only just begun to scratch the surface on what promises to be a transformative event. And to unravel the full spectrum of innovation in Web3 technology, I'm delighted to introduce our guests for today. Please join me in welcoming Kavya Prasad, who's the founder of Lumos Labs, Raghu Mohan, who's the co-founder of Builders Tribe, and Simran Alfonso, the PR and communications lead at BitGet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Raghu, I'll come to you first. Do you foresee global acceptance of the trend of using on-chain lending pools, exemplified by products like Maple and Centrifuge, for example, to provide cost-effective loans to countries in the global south?
Thank you for the question, Pooja. This is very pertinent to the concept of DeFi. It was actually its original intention as to why it was created, where it would make capital markets more efficient, which would help deliver these capital products to any part of the world in a very, very efficient way. Given that most of the infrastructure of a bank does not need to be set up when there is a DeFi protocol, and capital moves very frictionlessly and verifiably and provably from any part of the world. The eventual goal was that financial products banking the unbanked would actually happen. It is nice to see projects like Centrifuge and Maple Finance try and attempt to do and kind of manifest what crypto's original vision was. But there are a lot of problems to it. I will not go so far as to saying that it is a fad, but I think it is fair to say that there are a few large problems there. One is the logistical issue itself. Default rates and reconciliation of those defaults is something that DeFi products that are trying to kind of bridge the digital and the real world have consistently faced a big problem with. An even bigger problem is that how does the common layperson who is perhaps not as technologically savvy onboard into this world of Web3, let alone the world of the internet? I think there is a lot of work that our industry needs to do to make this technology very accessible. Just the concept of being able to operate a self-sovereign wallet and then also operate and signing protocols for actions that happen at much lower levels of the chain is something that is, I think, still alien to a lot of people, and so mass adoption is a little further away.
Kavya, do you believe that privacy-focused, social, decentralized apps drive significant user adoption in the crypto space, especially within the social segment in particular?
Bottom line, I do think that social DApps are a great way of increasing more users into this ecosystem, right? Into the Web3 ecosystem. Mainly, one of the main reasons being social media has always been a popular activity space online for a lot of people, right? From the time, MySpace came out, and then, we had Facebook. There's been a surge of users on the internet. And this is a great way of enabling people to start using new technologies as well, right? Secondly, the ability to voice opinions has always, without the fear of censorship, has always been very valuable to a lot of people, right? And third is social apps are a very familiar tool for a lot of users, so it becomes an easy way of people using this, and it also supports, freedom of speech and democracy. Of course, with that being said, bottom line, there is a way of increasing mass adoption through these form factors, but there are also a couple of cons in this case as well, right? One being increased complexity. So these applications will need people to understand how to create a wallet, how to connect your wallet to the application. So that means that people need to build more awareness around crypto and the general idea of how it all works. The second thing is these sort of applications also reduce scalability, right? So there is always, it gets more difficult to process more transactions and store data. So the more the users, more social posts going out, which means more transactions and more data on the blockchain. blockchain, which slows the entire network down. Increased costs is another thing, which again is a con with social apps, and of course the potential for abuse, right? The spread of misinformation, speeches coming out, and having no layer of quality checks may lead to a lot of this sort of FUD being spread in the ecosystem. Of course, bottom line, I do think that this is a great way of getting new users into the ecosystem as well.
Simran, what are your thoughts on the growing relevance of flat coins, tokens resistant to inflation, and their potential to drive growth, particularly in countries experiencing high inflation rates like Argentina and Venezuela, for example?
Thanks for the question, Pooja. I think when we talk about mass adoption, we as people are extremely focused on accelerating its growth. We are providing solutions. We're looking for that soft spot where it just works out and crypto becomes mainstream. It becomes as big as the internet. I think before that happens, we are going to actually see some bigger market collapse. There's going to be a lot more financial crisis in different types of regions. This is where the adoption of crypto will arise from. It will arise from the necessity of it. Flat coins are sort of a backup for such a situation. They're directly proportionate to the rising inflation. So if your cost of living increases, so does the value of the coin, because it's essentially pegged to it. This is a way of increasing the lifespan of your wealth. And I think that flat purchasing power is what we financially woke community requires right now.
Raghu, what's your take?
Like nothing has really captured mass adoption like a stable coin. And I know I put my reputation at stake when I say this, because it is not decentralized and there is a lot of centralization risk associated with stable coins. But all said and done, the user experience of a stable coin is just so compelling, which is where you see a ton of usage for it all over the world. The flat coin is a good experiment of that, as a basket of assets that ensures that the value of the tokens that it signifies will consistently beat inflation. And this maintains purchasing power parity across economic policies. And it's a really good experiment. I love the thought behind it. Will it reach the same level of adoption as, say, a stable coin? Is still yet to be seen. People find it very easy to understand dollars, rupees, and denominations. And so that the use case is very powerful. But how do you think in terms of inflation is still something that a lot of people, transactors of money will always find it hard to think about. So that's the thing with crypto, right? And I'm going to sound like a broken record here over and over again, that we are a collection of experiments and some really, really work. I think flat coins kind of tending towards the really, really work side, but it's not without challenges. And it'll be really interesting to see where it goes.
Kavya and Raghu, the Ethereum community has effectively decided to achieve scalability via outsourcing growth to layer 2 scaling solutions like Polygon, Scroll, Optimism, so on and so forth. What risks and benefits does this put forward in your view?
Ethereum is a base chain, and it has the limitations of scale. And by scale, I mean that too many transactions as it processes, it's the cost of signing transactions to a blockchain becomes exceptionally expensive. It is also limited by speed, where it does single-digit transactions per second. And hence, this whole conversation of layer 2s became a thing, right? A layer 2 is essentially saying, hey, Ethereum, you do your thing, which is proving transactions really well. Let us take the job of providing infrastructure for applications. And the required proofs that these infrastructures create, we will then commit to you as a base chain. However, this is actually one of the most fascinating things about the blockchain to me. When you optimize for speed and scalability, you somehow compromise on decentralization, which was the whole point of this space, right? And so you're kind of asking the question: you want to build dApps, you couldn't do it on the base chain, and hence you build a second layer of chains on which building these applications becomes easier. But at that point, the argument that this is not decentralized comes up, which brings you back to the whole point again. Are you really building a decentralized application. It is perhaps worthwhile to think about building dApps that way, which really makes a strong case for an L2 that is not as decentralized as the underlying chain.
On that note, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Blockchain Startup Show. Here with us we have Kavya, Raghu and Simran, who are leveraging the power of Web3 to build the future. Simran, could you share some insights into the $10 million Blockchain for Youth initiative? And additionally, if you could provide an overview of your process for selecting startups to participate in this initiative.
I think, Pooja, after the 2020 NFT wave, we saw a lot of rising interest from the youth. The younger generation was now interested in crypto and also had a sort of purchasing power to be able to invest in this. Because of that, a lot of developers in schools, colleges, they started coming out, started applying for more hackathons. There was a whole wave of youth getting into crypto. Our team at BitGet did a study. Our BitGet research team did a study where they realized that 46% of the crypto enthusiasts that we saw on the platform were actually millennials and Gen Zs. And if 50%, almost 50% of our users are actually from the younger generation, we need to do something to be able to engage with them. On the basis of that, we started a Blockchain for Youth initiative, which is basically a CSR opportunity for us where we are trying to look at different types of regions. We want to invest in developing countries and in regions which are very blockchain centric. India, as a matter of fact, has almost as big as a developer hub as the US. And with the 10 million Blockchain for Youth initiative, we decided to invest in Indian startups. We definitely understand the importance of investing in the youth. We sort of rely on this younger generation to work on the upcoming decentralized economies, create more ideas, and we're here to support them. In terms of the eligibility criteria, participation, we just have three things that we're looking for. One would be that we need projects who are out of their ideation stage. So basically projects that have a minimal viable solution, a minimal viable product, an MVP. It should also have a real life use case at the same time. We're looking into like DeFi products, gamify, metaverse, any sort of tokenized economy, NFTs, blockchain AI solutions that we want to invest in. So projects built around this particular category is very important for us. We see real life use cases coming out of these projects. The third thing would be that these projects need to have multiple layers of security and also should be open for auditing.
Kavya, what are your broad thoughts on the Indian Web3 ecosystem and how have you seen it evolve?
Essentially, I am super bullish about the Indian Web3 ecosystem in general, right? It's only been an upward trend. Apart from that, we've had so many Web3 startup successes, right? Companies like Polygon going global, exchanges like CoinDCX and CoinSwitch coming out there. We are also the third largest Web3 talent pool in the world. 11% of the global Web3 workforce is out of India, right? All of these are signs that, we are growing and it's only going to go higher and higher from here on, right? And some of the factors, essentially enabling this could be, our developer base, of course. We are a growing developer base and it's only increasing. Apart from that, the government, right? The government may not be pro-crypto, but they've always been pro-blockchain. And this enables people to experiment. They've the Telangana government has put out a sandbox, and we're only seeing more increase in support from the government on enabling blockchain tech for real world use, right? All of this obviously encourages the entire population for us to start exploring this ecosystem further. And I wouldn't say we're there yet, obviously. We are getting there, and there is definitely more we can do to increase that mass adoption and getting more people to start using it. Apart from that, there's obviously a lack of awareness, and there are a lot of education companies like ourselves that go out there and start educating people about this technology, and I think that needs to just increase over time, and that's the only way we can get to the grassroots and the masses, right? But overall, it's an upward trend and it's looking good, and it's only going to get better from here.
Simran, how does BitGet view India as a market, and what aspects about the Indian market are particularly exciting for BitGet?
I think Chainalysis has done a very good job in terms of highlighting India's stance around crypto. According to the reports, India ranks highest in terms of global crypto adoption. When it comes to regulations for crypto and blockchain in India, it's still an open playground. Especially after the positive dialogues around crypto in G20, where India joined like different types of countries like Australia, China, US to talk about having their own CBDC, and they even put out a pilot which actually is doing very well right now. Our plan here is to help them out to learn more about crypto. They're already in a position where they've learned complexities of financial payments, and they do it very easily. I think switching to crypto for Indians would be a lot more easier. To be honest, our plans in India has been twofold. One is to focus on hiring good talent, which we did this whole year. And the second one is investing in high potential startups that this talent can support to grow. I think right now we're at the latter.
Raghu, if you could provide your insights into the characteristics of the Web3 startup ecosystem pan-India.
A very good thing that you say about India is that everything you say about India is true. You say it's a big Web3 market, you're absolutely right. It is a big Web3 market. You say it's a small Web3 market, that is also right, because a very small percentage of the entire population is actually doing something here. You say that crypto adoption is high in absolute numbers, absolutely. You say crypto adoption is low, absolutely right, because it's less than a percentage of the globe that works on it, and it's the same that is mirrored in India. And so when it comes down to startups, I would say that it's been a bit of a lull period. On BUIDLso, our platform, we are consistently seeing a steady addition of 10, 20 new startups every week that are consistently being built out. And when I say startup, I use the term very loosely. This is not an incorporated startup that is ready to conduct commerce, raise funds, do business yet. These are projects with the intention of building something serious that is going to be taken to market. The interest actually lies in two areas. One is that there are a lot of more fundamental problems to solve in Web3 right now. And second is that there's still a lot of dry capital with VCs all over the world. I think during the previous uptrend, there was a lot of capital that was raised for investing in crypto projects, but I joke about this all the time. Billions of dollars worth early stage crypto deals aren't there. They are still being built out, and I think that's where India can contribute in a big way. I'm seeing signs of that happening currently. I think India's internet penetration and the capability that we are a very, very well-spoken population. We speak, global languages, English primarily, very well. Our capability to penetrate other markets is a lot. We have an advantage there. And so I generally think that these applications will get a ton of traction if they figure out the product market fit early on. And so I guess that gives you a general overall picture. Interest is still there. People are building really good startup projects. A lot of culling of projects has happened in the last year or so. Capital is on the sidelines waiting to invest in the right things as opposed to everything anymore. So generally upward, but it has not been without cost.
And Kavya, if you could perhaps shed some more light on the Build4Web3 Summit, what's in store?
So essentially, the Build4Web3 Summit is something that we're organizing on the 4th of December. This is during the India Blockchain Week, just around the corner to ETH India. This is a great time to host events to kind of talk about conversations that haven't been talked about, right? What we essentially wanted to do with the summit is to explore topics that are more technical in nature, right? Topics that people are trying to build research papers on, and have researchers, have people who built actual products that are being used by millions of people across the globe to come and talk about their findings. The focus is to get developers who are also research oriented, who are looking to innovate, experiment, understand gaps in the ecosystem, to learn from these front runners, right, who we are bringing to the table. So the gist of this is to talk about conversations that people haven't spoken about, make it more technical, and essentially bring in that innovative mindset within the ecosystem in India itself, right? Apart from that, we're also having a startup spotlight, obviously organized by Builders Tribe and powered by BitGet, and it couldn't have happened without you guys, wherein we are bringing in about 20 startups to come and do a pitch, and we're looking at supporting them in funding and any sort of network access that they would require. That apart, like I said, we are the third largest pool of Web3 talent globally. And we wanted to run a job fair while we have so many hackers coming down, so many business folks coming down to explore this ecosystem. And we thought this would be a great place for them to find opportunities within Web3 in itself. We're looking at this happening on the 4th of December in Whitefield. So that's in a sense what the summit's all about.
Well, that's all for this episode of the Blockchain Startup Show. We'll see you next week. And we wish the team at Lumos Lab, Builders Tribe, and BitGet all the best for the summit.